I have always loved fantasy magic. I love it in books, I love it in comics, games, TV, movies, you name it. And in this video, I will tell you several secrets around my magic systems. Things not explained before and not discussed in the series. I wanted magic in the Artifact War series to be something I had thought through. Like you, I have read books by other authors that excel at this sort of thing and some that really don't. And I was careful not to copy any of their explanations on how magic works. I wanted to come up with something that felt new to me at least. So before I put the first words on paper, or on the screen really, I thought a lot about how magic would work in my world. If you have watched the video I did entitled How It All Began, then you know that in the original version of the story, Pino was a fire mage and he wasn't weak at all. While working on this version of the character, I thought a lot about fire magic and how it fit into an overall magic system. The more I thought about it, the more frustrating I found fire magic, especially when I thought long and hard about that old role-playing game favorite, the fireball. Because you can say, where exactly does the energy come from? The stuff that creates the fireball, I mean. Is this energy stored somewhere inside the mage and is then, drawn out and expended until he or she runs out of power? Or is it something in the environment that you can tap into, and is it then also exhaustible, less in certain places than others? Does it perhaps originate with a celestial being granting the energy to the mage? Is it generated by the brain as a psionic spell power? Is it something drawn in from a higher plane, dimension, or parallel world that mages can tap into? Or do they have a magical being or symbiote or animal inside them that creates the energy? Is it perhaps a magical or scientific artifact the carrier have implanted or tattooed on their skin or something that generates the magic? Or is it just totally inexplainable? And if we go back to the fireball, what exactly is it that burns? Is it plasma? Is it gas? Could it be oil? Is it gunpowder? Is it phosphorus? Is it a wick? What is it? And while we're at it, why does the fireball not burn the mage if he throws it from himself towards something or someone? And if it travels, isn't the spell not just one thing, but several effects in one? A, like a fireball effect, B, a movement spell projecting the ball towards the target, and C, a personal protection effect preventing the mage from burning, and so on and so forth. And why do you have to throw a fireball at all? The energy used to create a fireball next to someone or around them or even inside them would likely be smaller, deadlier, and a lot bigger surprise. And you would save the energy of actually hurtling it, all the way towards them. Thoughts not unlike these have been bothering me before as I contemplated the rules of role-playing games, or I read comic books, or saw TV or whatever. And I personally like to have the illusion that there is a believable overall idea or explanation behind magic. One that goes beyond that which the author just needed to make a scene work or a quest possible or something. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized that creating a magical system was not a 5-minute job. It was actually one of the cornerstones of the whole world building for me. It also helped me decide, after I knew how magic worked, how everything else would work. And I knew I could not make a totally 100% perfect magic system as it is make-believe. But I wanted to make something good, and at least for my own sake, something that I knew how worked so I could describe it to you. So how did I do it, and how does it work? Well, I decided I needed at least some anchoring in science to make it believable to myself. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a scientist, I'm a journalist turned writer. Still, my foundation, if you will, for the unreal world of fantasy is still the real world. And so I wanted to make some make-believe that I could enjoy and explain. And so I watched some physics intro sessions online, as high school physics is a long time ago for me. I was looking for something I could steal or borrow or change and make from science into magic. And this is what I came up with. 5 magical disciplines. The first, strength, is actually gravity. You apply or negate a force, thereby changing the interactions between mass and energy concentrations. Second is light, electromagnetism, attraction and repulsion of charged particles and magnetic objects. Then you have life, chemistry, starting, stopping, or being a catalyst for chemical or biologic reactions. Death, dark matter, attraction and repulsion of those universal building blocks. And then the final one, omen, time, attraction and repulsion of temporal phenomena. This helped me a lot, and I used the extensive knowledge of my brother, who is an accomplished engineer, to bounce ideas off and help me decide what was possible when my imagination became a little bit stretched. I also came up with a lot of other stuff, like a complete history of the first, second and third age, explaining why and how the mages came to be. But that is a story for another time. The same is where the energy comes from that powers the spells, and exactly how the brains make this work. Perhaps I'll explain more about this in another video or in another book if people ask for it. Another fact that you might have guessed are that the area that a mage can use magic inside is actually an area shaped like his or her brain and extending out from their brain. The size of this area is large for powerful mages like Pythiax, and then tiny for weak mages such as Pino. So why do I not explain all this in this series? I could have just done that. To be honest, I know from experience that some people want magic to be inexplainable, and those people get quite agitated when magic gets too scientific or explained. I experienced this a few times when I was a game master in what some call armchair role-playing games. It was back in the 1980s and 90s. For instance, I created and participated in several epic Warhammer Fantasy role-playing campaigns, and in one, we the players found ourselves fighting space marines and demonic forces from the Warhammer 40k sci-fi universe. There was this warp time storm and blurring of, reality or something. And this really irritated some of the other players. They wanted high fantasy. They wanted elves, dragons, magic, inexplainable miracles delivered by God, and not heavy bolters, lasgun, and Terminator power armor or something. In a campaign I myself ran for over a decade with 2 other game masters and several teams of players at the same time, I awarded one of my players with a magical suit of armor that let him fly and would talk to him. This annoyed him so much. It destroyed the whole campaign for him because it was science fiction in his mind, and he wanted to be a priest, not a flying space marine. And I admit, to me it was also rather sciencey, this armor. But my personal line had been crossed many times by the crazy items in that game, such as warping swords and teleportation spells. But not to the players. They thought of those as magic, and it did not break the illusion of a fantasy world for them. But I think I learned my lessons though. You have to respect people's sentiments or lose the illusion in their heads and stop them from having a good time while exploring the story. And this is what fictional books are all about. Making the reader have a good time while exploring your hopefully interesting environments. So I decided early on that I did not want to explain my magic system in full detail, but rather reveal a little bit here and there. And then some readers won't get totally turned off because of it, and others will just, find sources like this video, for instance, to find some more explanations.